Hi again, John Wesley Bready, in this chapter, Bulwarks of Social Liberty. In this Freedom Whence, page 272, he's addressing the rise of trade unionism in Great Britain. This is part 2 of that section. If then, in the first great episode of the trade union drama, the influence of the evangelical revival is so apparent, in the second, when unionists found themselves directly represented by their own members in Parliament, the same influence is scarcely less pronounced. The earliest trade union MPs were returned as Liberal Labour members, that is, they were called Lib-Labs, in the general election of 1874. They were but two in number, Alexander Mcdonald and Thomas Burt. The former, and considerably the elder, was a typical product of thrifty Puritan Scotland. When 8, he was a miner, but by frugal habits and force of character, he prepared himself for Glasgow University, which he entered in 1846. While at the university, though continuing work in the pit during vacations, Macdonald became known as a leader of the miners all over Scotland. In 1863, on the formation of the National Union of Miners, he was elected president, and such he remained till death in 1881. Alexander Macdonald, therefore, enjoyed but 7 years of parliamentary representation. Nevertheless, because of his devotion and sagacity, those years proved a boon to the trade union cause. Emphasizing always that essentially Christian principle, the sanctity of personality over property, he insisted, as an axiomatic moral tenet, upon the compulsory maintenance of the workman's standard of life. The latter of these original Labour pioneers in Parliament, Thomas Burt, who continued to sit as a Lib-Lab MP for Morpeth for 44 years without a break, sprang from a family of primitive Methodist preachers and class leaders. Early he was enlisted as a Sunday school teacher and honorary temperance lecturer. For 18 years Burt labored as a miner. For 48 years, from 1865 to 1913, he was elected secretary of the Northumberland Miners Association. In 1890, he was the leading British representative to the Berlin Labour Conference. In 1891, he was elected president of the National Trades Union Congress. From 1892 till 1895, he was parliamentary secretary of the Board of Trade. And in 1906, he was made a privy councillor. When, in 1918, at 81, he retired from public life, he was, quote, father of the House of Commons by common consent. Increasingly during his long parliamentary career, he had won the affection of his constituents and the respect of all parties. Burt's winsome character, open-mindedness, capacity for toil, and unimpeachable honesty had made him a rare leader of men. He had proved conclusively that a miner, deprived of all youthful opportunities for academic attainment, could rise to take his place among the legislators of an empire. Never was he a pedant or a doctrinaire. His faith endowed him with human sympathy, boundless patience, a passion for fairness, and a deep understanding of men. Pride and pettiness were foreign to his nature. He loathed the gospels of class hatred and class war. His culture, which was both real and gracious, derived from the school of life, and his guiding texts in that school were the Bible, the great poets, and the great historians. Earl Grey, on a public occasion, as Governor-General of Canada, said of Burt, quote, the finest gentleman I ever knew was a working miner in England, whose gentleness, absolute fairness, instinctive horror of anything underhand or mean, or anything that was not the strictest fair play, gave him a character that enabled him to rise to the position of privy councillor. End of quote by Earl Grey. Charles Fenwick, elected as Lib-Lab MP for Wansbeck in 1885, was a man of similar mould, and like Burt, was early a local preacher. For 33 years, till his death in 1918, Fenwick represented the same constituency in Parliament. As with Burt, practical religion, not economic theory, was the source of his strength. From 9 till 35 years of age, he toiled in the pit as a miner, during which years, because of his force of character, fairness of mind, and genius for teamwork, he was elected to various responsible posts. by the Northumberland Miners Association. Fenwick entered Parliament, therefore, a practical workman, a thoroughgoing Unionist, and a representative of labour. But, like Burt and Macdonald, as a lib-lab, his political outlook, aside from independence on labour questions, was liberal. Fenwick was the first Labour MP ever to preside over the House of Commons in committee. For years he was secretary of the Parliamentary Committee of the Trades Union Congress. In 1911 he was made a Privy Councillor. Though a tireless advocate of the aspirations of the labouring world, his life was devoid of bitterness or shibboleth worship. And if, in parliamentary circles, he was first tolerated and then patronized, long before his death, he had won the admiration and honour of all high-minded men. Halevi says of these pious Methodists and local preachers, Burt and Fenwick, that they were universally respected for their earnestness and virtues. Still more about the trade unions next time. I'll put in a link to some videos we did on, it was for an outreach actually to York University in Toronto. And the theme of it was, why Jesus? Why is it that the religion of Jesus of Nazareth became the biggest religion in the world? And the specific issue we were trying to address in that outreach to York University was 10 objections to the Christian faith, 10 common objections that are out there that need to be answered respectfully. So the series is called Why Jesus, 4 videos, and I'll put a link to the first one on screen. See you soon.